Welcome to this video. And in this video I'm going to be working on something entirely different. It's going to be a new series generally. So the title of the video says building a money making Chrome extension. So I'm going to be showing you guys how to do this, and the idea is quite straightforward. So let's look at this first of all. I want to build a Chrome extension. How do I start? How do I decide? So currently I'm trying to work with my thought process here. So I have this AI that I'm asking which idea I can build, right? So I asked a bunch of questions and said things like, oh, I want to build a Chrome extension, so just money making extension that can build in 2026. So he told me and said, okay, so these are certain things you can build in 2026. But that's not the only thing I want to do, right? Because I'm not done. This is just one of it. So I now need to ask, okay, I need to choose one and then suggest from the one I have chosen that, okay, I want to work with this. So that's what I suggested. So this is what is happening now. So so this is what is happening. I've already selected one of them, and if you can see here, it's generated some code for me, right? But this is not the way I want it to be. This is not the way I would like it to be. This is not sustainable, in my opinion. It's definitely not sustainable. I don't want this code in 2026. No. So this is what I want to do. I want to show you guys how this can work, because the point is I'm trying to build something that will not just work for a day. I'm trying to make money with this, and I want to make it a professional stuff. It works. You can download it, use it, get things they want. So instead of me just picking the code that AI will generate for me, like if you're going through the videos I've been putting out on this channel, you realize that AI is not that smart. I always say it, that it just depends on whatever you give to it. If you prompt AI to be smart, is going to be smart. Like I said, it's just the same concept as the old garbage in, garbage out that we've come to understand computers to be. But in this case, when you prompt it, the garbage in, garbage out is smarter than usual because it can make inference and decisions. But that doesn't mean you just prompt one and it just gives you everything. So in this case, I said, okay, write me a detailed PRD for how I can accomplish this so that I can now make the informed decision from my IDE where I'm going to be working, of course. So I'm going to show you guys some of the tools I'm going to use and the frameworks that make it easy for you to build Chrome extensions with literally everything built in. Like, it works like the way you have React, that is real time and that it works instantly. You don't need to bother or do other thing that makes no sense. So I'm just going to go into it straight away. So this is what I said. I said I want to build a full page capture plus smart annotation extension. So I've always wanted to build something like this because most times when I browse, I want to just snap the current page I'm working on, write something to that page and save it. There's a reason I'm doing that, because there was something that caught my attention. Usually on my phone, what I always do is I'll take screenshot of it, which I never remember to go back to. I'm sure everybody has faced that. And then you want to remember that probably there's a quote or there was something, or an image or something that's just stuck with you from that content, and there's no way for you to always or ever remember it again. I know there are other ways people have tried to do this, but I want to do it in such a way that makes that is useful to me. And I'm sure it's not just me alone, that it is for other people too. But I'm trying to solve my own problem using this video as an entry to that, to solving that problem. So this is what I want to do. This is just like his own understanding of the general full page capture plus smart annotation. But we will make changes. We'll make informed changes. I'm going to make changes to it because I want it to work the way I expect it to work. If I'm browsing and I see something that caught my attention, I want to save for later. Can I take the screenshot of it and then annotate it? I know there are stuffs that do it, but that is why it's not going to just be the way things other apps do it. It's going to be different. It's going to make a lot more sense. So I'm going to show you what I mean. So let's jump into it straight away. First thing is I already have this, so I'm just going to copy the PRD, which is going to be my documentation. I'm not going to ask you guys to read through all of this. This is a lot. I have not even gone through it to read it, but I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it to my IDE and then tell my IDE AI also to make decisions based on this and change it to fit into my workflow. So you can see the product summary is this: a Chrome extension that reliably captures full page screenshot across modern websites, opens in an in-browser editor, and provides smart annotation tools, blur, redact, arrow shape, text, freehand with high quality export and optional theme workflows, built on MV3, Manifest V3 with minimum permissions, strong privacy posture, and monetization via premium features. Now, this honestly, this is very like extremely useful and straightforward. It's something we can build, and we're going to be doing that. Probably we'll build one or two. If we finish this early, we publish it early, we build it and see how other ones, we build other ones that I have in mind. So let's just go. So the goals is this: high fidelity capture, accelerate full page stitching with this, fast intuitive annotations, privacy first, MP3 compliant architecture, extensibility. That means it's clear to add premium features and other functionalities, right? You want a service worker orchestration. So don't worry about these big grammars. We don't need all of these things. It should be pretty straightforward, pretty simple, just one idea, captured, implemented, straight up, we are done. So, but we are going to do it this way. So the non-goals are web automation, scrapping beyond the current pipeline. We don't want all of this. We don't want Photoshop level features. No, something very simple. Cross-border parity at V1, but we'll focus on Chrome for now because we are developing and publishing this to the Chrome store. So the target users are product managers, UX designers, content creators, customer facing, all of this. So as a PM, I capture a few pages. These are just user stories, and then the scope, then the constraints, then the success metrics. Success metrics is important because it guides the LLM or even you as a user on what is working and what it is you want. Does it capture what you want? So in this case, the success metrics is capture success rate 95% across top site and all of those things. So the UI UX is going to be quite good because I love UX. I'm sure you guys know that by now. If you have been following my videos, I love beautiful user experiences. So whatever it is I'm building needs to make sense. It needs to look as good as possible. So this is just what it is, and let's get started. So two technologies I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using something called Plasmo, right? So Plasmo.dev, I think Plasmo.com. Okay, so Plasmo is an extension, is a framework for building Chrome extensions, right? So you can see make data analytics Chrome extension. You can literally build any kind of extension. Why? Because it makes it easy for you to build, to get started, build, and work with it like real time. It doesn't just works like having React, whereby there's real hot reload, there's real time changes reflecting on your browser or on the extension itself. So let's get started right now, not to waste time. So you can see easily extend the web, first class support for React, Vert, and Views, style leakage protection, so dedicated runtime for browser extensions, React HRM. So if you guys remember the previous video we did, which was the mobile series video, where I showed you guys the Chrome extension I built, the wallet, the Web3 wallet Chrome extension I built, that works like an actual wallet, right? This is the framework I used for it. Well, for the core of it. There are a lot of other things that was built on top, which I showed from the video. But and if you've not checked that one, also you're interested in how to build an actual mobile wallet, Web3 wallet, you can check that also. It should pop up in this video whenever. But I have that built also, which you can also check out from my channel. So this is here, and you can see from here that this just works. It works across different browsers as well. You can use it for Edge, Chrome, Safari, Firefox also. So that makes sense. And you can see some of the companies that have used it, Live Blocks, right? So it was either use Plasma or do everything in the vanilla extension with the big thing we needed was the solution at Plasma, which was not, these are just stories, but then it works. I've tried it, I've built not one extension with this, but the major one I've built is the one I'm showing you guys, which is this. This is, let me show you the one I built with it. Let me show you guys this one. So let's go here. Okay, this is the one I used for the Chrome extension. Let's go to this. So if I go to this, you will see this here. If I open this one, you will see this. This is one I have already installed. So this is the extension I have here. You can see in this case, it tells me there's no backup, right? You can see the extension using my email to sign up here, and I can copy and all of those things. So this is one of the things I implemented in this feature, and it makes a lot of sense. I can check my accounts and you can see it. Let me increase it. Let me click this again. You should see the way it looks like this, right? So these are my accounts. You can see two different accounts here using my email. This was when I was testing the email sign up, right? And can also import wallet from private key or seed phrases. So this is the extension. It's on the Chrome store. So if I show you here, this should take me to the directly. What's happening? Okay, let's go to the web store. I don't want to open this. All right, so basically this is, I'll open that also. I'll stop sharing my screen just to open the extension. So you can always search for it, like I said, on Chrome, search for it on Chrome. Let me use another browser to search for that. Um, all right, so if I go here and I search for Wallet Pro, so you see the extension. This is the extension, right? You can see it looks actually similar to what you have before. This is it. Same thing you saw me use the other time. So this is the extension I built, and I built it using this Plasmo. So I can very much tell you that it works, and it actually makes it very small. This extension contains a lot of features, which if you watch my previous video, you see it does that, and it's just 6 MB. So it's very small at the end of the day if you use it for production. So I'm just going to get started with Plasmo. So let's do that and get started instantly. So I will show you the, okay, we don't need all of this. Let me just go to documentation directly because that's basically what I need. We don't need all of this. This is the, this is like the cloud deployment version. So if you want to deploy to the cloud, it helps you to manage all of those deployment functionalities, right? So let's say you want to deploy using just one, you can see it here. Say get your station to production, the production web store deployment. It handles that for you with just one click. The only thing is that you need to pay for it. And once you pay for it, as you can see here, it gives you this, but the starter plan is $30 per month to handle deployment to all browsers, extend stores at the same time. So you can deploy to Mozilla Firefox, to Chrome web, to Chrome Store, to Edge, to Safari, to every basic store that you know that works and needs your extension. So you can actually cover more user base as well. So that's exactly what we are trying to talk about here. So if I click the get started here, to take me to that place. But like I said, we are trying to use the documentation. So let's just get started here. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to close this and let's look at this. So the Plasma is another one platform that makes it easy for Chrome extension developers to create, test, and publish amazing things. With this, you can say goodbye to tedious boilerplate code and hello to a faster, more seamless development experience, which is cool, right? So what I'm going to do is just get started, use one of the extension that exists, one of the examples, because I don't want to start from scratch. There's an example, so let's just do that. Like I always say, there's no point starting that if you want to. So if you want to create an extension, you can use this command. I'm using PNPM, right? Because it's like what is it's like what they actually recommend. You can say strongly recommend use PNPM. So we can use that, or we can decide to use any other one if you're not comfortable. But it works with other package managers, but PNPM is like the one I recommend to. So to make it work. So what you're going to do is you're going to just use this. We are not going to work with the source directory. We are going to do it manually. The last one I built, I used the source directory. Let me show you guys. I use the source directory. Where is it? So let me just show you the code base itself. So this is the code base for the extension that I showed you just now. And the extension, you can see what just happened. Did it just crash? What? All right, it just crashed. So let's just wait a bit. So it just crashed, and this is the extension. Uh, this is the code for the extension. You can see I'm using the source directory. So it works. It works perfectly well. We are going to be picking some other things from here, just like boilerplate. So we don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? That's what we are going to do. So I'm going to close this. I don't need this yet. When we need this, we can come back, pick some features like how the other style libraries was implemented to make it work easily. So that's what we're going to be working with. So with an example template, you can see here, even more powerful, you can create a new project based on one of our examples. To pick an example, I use his name as a flag when running the create plasmo command. So we can use this, right? Which I think is one of the best ones to use with env. The reason why we want to use env is because for now, we don't even need it of env. There are many reasons why we don't. One of the reasons why we don't need that is because we likely use a framework to handle um, how to get how to subscribe to premium features. So let's say, for instance, like you said, we want to make a money-making Chrome extension. Can we make money from this extension? Let's see if that's possible. We are going to make an extension whereby you can pay for it. So we need to add that payment integration to it. So how do we do that? First things first. Let's look at how that is possible. So to make that work for us, we are going to implement it with, I'm going to use the .env example, right? So I'm going to, the other examples I can use, which is this. So I'm going to the tab I created, which is the examples. You can see there are a lot of examples with AntTD, with AI, right, with background. with browser specific override. You don't need all of this, except you need like specific things you need for it. But personally, I don't really like to waste much time with it. With multiple tailwind CSS, with MUI, with Microsoft Clarity, messaging, options UI, permissions UI. Now, all of these are important because yes, you want to use it also with React Native, in fact, with React Query, with React Router, with Redux, with Selector, with Sentry, ShardCN. All of these are examples we can use. So, personally, I might want to use this one with React Router because we want it to have routing also. But let's keep it simple. The reason why I want to keep it simple is because we just want it to be an extension whereby when you click, right, when you click, you basically just have um, the extension pop up just like that. Like it just pops up and tells you, okay, can you capture the page? So we don't need all of this craziness for now. But those are things that we can still have because we want to have like a place where you can add all of those what they call it now, all those other stuffs. What's the name? The annotation features, yeah. So you want to have all of those things which you can still have eventually. So what I'm going to do is we can use this example, right? This example with pop-up here. There are different examples already prepared which you can just use. But in this case, we have this one called the routes, right? And the routes here you can see there are different routes that you can just use. It's like a router DOM that works basically like a React Router project, but you can just click, navigate, and it does the actual thing. So if you go to the lazy route here, you see this, right? You see the index page. The index page is just route configurations. Then index of production is this, what shows here. Then the home page is what shows here. So this is the routing. How do we configure it also? There are views here that we can use like this. And the package.json is the most important one because it tells you how it is installed, which is just this. That's all. So that's basically what you need. So we can always add this when we want it to work. But for now, and also we are using the memory router because we are working with an extension. We are not using the hash router. We are not using the um, other router types that exist. So that's that. So I won't bother much about this. We also have the React Query extension implementation we can use, even React Router itself. How to use it with React Router? Those are examples. If you check the package or JSON for this, you will see that React Native was installed for the web and for that also. So how to use an extension with React Native? That also works. So you can use with side panels, it works. You can use with ShardCN, it works. With Stripe, basically works also. Style components, Superbase, Svelte, and all of those things. So if there was one with Clerk, I probably have preferred using that because I want us to use Clerk with some of the things we implement here. But there's no example with Clerk currently. So we are going to add that ourselves manually. So let's see, we've done about 20 something minutes into this. So this is just more like a pre-template and how it's supposed to work. So let's jump into this and yeah, I think one of the things I want to use is this one. I want to use the one with Radix here because in this case we have different ones. We have the one with Radix. So if you check the package of JSON, you see that Radix is installed, if I'm not mistaken. Windy Radix template, palettes. So we have Radix UI colors, and so as much as I like this, I want to use the actual Radix package completely. I've used it before. The extension I showed you was Radix completely. Radix just gives you that easy way of building stuff that I really, really prefer to use. So it makes a lot more sense that way. So I'm just going to stick to that also. Then we have this configuration for the Radix, the Tailwind, and the Tailwind config. But one thing to notice that you don't use Tailwind 4 for Plasmo. It doesn't work. So if you are trying to use Tailwind, whether you're trying it on your own and stuff, just know that it's not going to work. Every Tailwind version you use has to be version 3. Version 4 will not work. Let me show you guys one other thing for you to be sure. But the last time I checked, it didn't work, but I don't know if it works now. So yeah, it's still version 3. You really don't want to use version 4, it's going to fail. I've tried that multiple times to know that it's going to fail. So that's the plan, and that's the aim of this also. So let's work with one more thing. We have this. So these are basic examples, like I said. We can always pick from these examples when we want to implement new features or add some other things. So with AMV I was showing you the other time is this one with AMV. There are other ones we can use like with messaging. With messaging means you are sending Chrome native messages, right? Which are more like for notifications or sending messages to background Chrome background scripts or systems whereby they can use that and then redirect or send back messages, send back answers to you. So these are things that can work with that also. We are going to implement something like just to make sure it works. So it won't be something simple but functional at the end of the day. So this is how it is. So the messages here is just this messages tells you how you can create extensions that have messages, right? Background script, as you can see here, where you have messages and ports and all of those things. You can have the open extension, HTX, get manifest. So these are things you can use to do a lot of other stuffs. But in this case, we don't need all of this complexity, right? You are trying to build something very simple. If you have the need for this, you use all of this. But we are building something extremely simple. So don't get carried away with all of this. Trust me. So yeah, there's one with Stripe, whereby if you want to handle payment, you can handle it with this. You can see premium features. Premium features here is just you use Next.js, right, in this one, and then you need to get the user information, then get subscription from here. So you can check the subscription here. Check subscription is a function you can use to check. The common.ts is where you have all the configurations. You have the Stripe private key to handle payment, the get subscription, the set credentials, and all of those things. But we're not going to be using Stripe directly. We're going to be using something that's works with Stripe. We are going to be using Click. Click makes sense. So I'll just stick to Click and that will be all, literally. Okay, so that's that. So let's stick to that concept and just make sure we are done with it. So first thing to do, let's create a new one and use that new implementation to make this work. So let's just pick an example. Which of the examples should we use here? Let's see. Let me see which one works best. So we have with AI here. What is the AI? Nothing different. For AI extensions. Okay, a scaffold for AI extensions, where you have the assets and then the pop-up, compromise 3. What is compromise? What the compromise depend? Let me check that. Compromise npm. Compromise tries to turn text into data. It makes limited and sensible decisions. Well, I've not seen this library before. Well, if this is what I think it is, then it makes a lot more sense. It might be something I use going forward. So modest natural language processing, npm install compromise. Okay. She sold t-shirts by the seashore. Don't be fancy at all. Return grab part of the text. Okay. So it turns text into data. So you can make use of it. Okay, that makes sense. But it's not actually for a use case here. If you are working with a language processing package, or let me say extension, I think this might be a cool idea, but we're not trying to that. There's already a bunch of them. Grammarly does that for you free of charge and all that thing. So yeah, not interested in this one. But yeah, but it's good to see though. It's good to see because you can see them using it here. Three here was used to also do what's 3 used for here. That's all. It's just imported. Nothing was done with it. Okay, so I really don't need that. So let's just go to the one we need. And oh yeah, this is interesting. We have the Google Analytics measurement here, which if you check the installation, you see it's just basically installing. Not basically installing anything. So that means it must be done from the actual context. So listen for this new install. So send a new install event to, okay, yeah, this is its analytics event. So it's done in the tools. And basically means you get your key from, yeah, okay. That makes sense. Right, this is cool. We can always use this, but like I said, let's just start simple with something. Like so let's go. I don't want to waste much time here. Let's go back to this place, pick this example and create this. So I'm just going to create this and then go back to this desktop and create an example. This today is just going to be more of scaffolding and setting up, not something too crazy. So it's going to be, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here, I'm going to create it inside of this. So I'm going to say create Plasmo with env. So it's going to ask me certain questions, this and this. So we're first going to download it. What's the extension name? So the extension name, yeah, we've not picked a name for the extension. So what do we suggest it is? Let me say suggest a name for this extension. So I'm asking the AI to suggest a name for this extension. So let's see if it can give me a reasonable name. If it doesn't give me a name, you can always, okay, there's a lot of them. Page canvas, snap scroll, full shot pro, annotate X. I think I like this annotate X, but I want something easy, something that can stay in your brain. And then, okay, this makes sense. I can always use to refer to people. That's always a very good name. Let me think. I'm thinking of a name. Okay, I have a name, Anumak. Anumak means annotate, but all right, so I'm going to call it Anumak. Yeah, annotate, just like annotate and mark. Basically, it's just a name. It can always change, but I like the name. Anumak makes sense. So this page demonstrates this is a description. No, let me write one with this. Page canvas implies a full page canvas ready for precise annotation. Page canvas is cool, but nah, don't want that. Write me a description for this extension. So it's going to write a description for the extension. So it's just going to be basic. I pick the name and then I use it. So write a description, page canvas captures. Come on, it's too much. I just write a one-line description for this extension. So it should just be one line. So it says capture the entire web page and turn them into clean, editable canvas for fast, precise feedback. Exactly. So something like this. Capture this, paste it here. So I'm just going to paste it and that's it. So the author name is my name. Okay, let me see the format. Okay. So I'm going to change this eventually, right? So in fact, let me use this. You know what? I'm going to do this later. I don't want to do this on the call here. So I'm just going to call it copy labs and we'll change that also. So creating a project with this. So it's going to create a new project. I'm just going to open the project and then make use of the project like this eventually. So basically that's what we're going to do. So while it downloads, everything should work as intended. It shouldn't take as much time. It should just simply work. And then we should be done with that. Okay, so it's downloading a lot of things. So this is one of the best ways this works. It's one of the cool libraries. There are two of them. So in case you are familiar, in case you want to be aware, there's one called WXT also. WXT is for creating extension as well. But I actually prefer this Plasma because it works more. It was built for React also, but it supports other ones like Vue and Svelte. Why WXT is actually built for Nuxt, which is like Vue.js, but then it still supports React. So it's more like they're making compromises, but I still prefer using that than this one, right? Most people say this one gives you more flexibility. I've not tried WXT before, but I still prefer using Plasma because I've used it for production stuff and it works well. So I think I prefer that. So in this case, I'm going to go to Anumak, right? And PMPM dev. Okay, no, what? I'm not going to PMPM dev. I'm just going to CD Anumak. Oh no. So index optimize web for this command. There's no point. I don't need for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open this in WebStorm. Right. So I'm going to open this in WebStorm so we can make use of it. Trust project. So at this rate, I have almost all my projects in WebStorm already, like all of them. But mostly the project I use for this tutorials are on WebStorm. So yeah. Okay, so this is what we have, and so far so good. We have the README file. The README is just an introduction on how it works. So what I'm going to do is to go here, increase the size of the editor to 18. So then go to the actual font for edit accessibility to 18. Then go to the editor also and change that to 18. So I'll apply both of them, send this. So this should be big enough. So I'll close the README file. Then I'll go to the AI code. But then before doing that also, I'll go back to the extension, copy the PRD that was given the other time, which is this one, and create a PRD dot. So I'm going to create as always, as you guys, if you're familiar with my way of creating this document now, it's just going to be creating a document folder, right? So you're going to note I have this document folder here. So the document folder is going to contain. Oh no! I made a mistake here somewhere. So I'm supposed to use the .src format. Using the .src makes a lot of sense. The reason why it does is because you want to have all your code aligned some in a particular directory. Let me show you what I mean. So in this case, if you look at this one, for instance, you can see with tabs just gives you access and tabs, right? It's the structure works, but it's not as perfect as you may think. But let's work with what we have for now. I prefer if it's in a source folder like this. It makes sense to have it in a source folder. So you know that all your code base is inside of that. So what I'm going to do is simple. I'm going to clear this directory. Just bear with me, please. So I'm going to do that. In fact, I'm going to close this. There's a reason why I'm doing this. I don't want to start manipulating and making the configurations. I can do that, but let's just use it since it exists. So we are going to create this. So I'm going to remove handle mark since I've just created. So I'm going to totally remove it. So it should be gone. So I'm going to use the pm install Plasmo again. But this time around, I'm going to select it from the no, I'm going to do this. With SRC. So you can use different one. For instance, with SRC here simply means you are creating it with the source folder like this. So it gives it more, makes more sense. You can see that's a pop-up. Like I showed you, the one I used before also has that SRC. And I think that makes more sense. So we create with SRC. With extension, with TMV is just a sample we can create from here. So I'm going to call it handle mark again. So I'm going to copy the description from the charts again, the one-line description. So I'll paste it here and I'll just put the author name, then we can revisit that. So what I'm explaining here is that we can go back to the .env with env format. With env format simply means we can use this. Let me go to the with env here. In this case, with env here simply means we have an env file that we can use. And this is an example. So you can just copy this and use it. There's no difference from using this or using it elsewhere. That's basically it. And these are you can call it using the process. Like I said, it's built for React. If it was built for like another framework, now you know that yes, well, it works with any other framework. It works with Svelte and Next.js. It's literally another one, right? As you can see, there's Svelte here. It works too. So that's perfectly done too. So that works. It's not really an issue per se. All right, so this is done. So I'm going to go back to Anomark and I'm going to WebStorm this. So I'm going to WebStorm this and I'm going to open that. So I'm going to close this WAP again. And next thing I'm going to do, we have our README already, right? So I'm going to close that. Now we have a source directly that, yeah, makes a lot more sense. So going back to this and copying the PRD again, so we can use it as our guide for our AI. So as you guys know, create a directory, put a document inside, create a file inside of it, call it prd.md. That becomes my PRD, paste the PRD inside, guides my AI generally on what I'm about to build, right? So of course, this thing needs to be modified because it's not perfect, but like I said, it will work for me. And with time, we are going to modify it as we go on. But let's start with this. So let's see what we can do today. So I'm going to start with this basically. I'm not even going to write anything as much. Well, first of all, I need to set up the project, write it, install the style library I want to use. And once that is done, then we can proceed. Let's see what style library we have. Ty- is there Tailwind installed? Nope. Tailwind does not exist. It's not installed yet. So two things we need to do. I'm going to go here and more like copy the packages I have installed before. So I'm going to open the package.json. As you can see here, we have a lot of stuff installed. But basically what I need is the Tailwind. The Tailwind installations is what I need. And you can also do that from here if you want to be sure without having to go through what I've already created. You can always come here, go to the with Tailwind directory, go to yeah, with Tailwind here, just go here, go to the package.json file here and literally copy this. Tailwind but 3.4.1 is all you need. Once you copy 3.4.1, also install the post CSS and that's it. You're done. But if you want to make it even much more easy for you to do, if you want to use ShadCN, for instance, you can use ShadCN also as an example here. So let's say you want to use ShadCN. Let me go to ShadCN with S with this, right? You can just do this. You just get your component. This is your component, right? You need to go to your package.json. You go to your global.css. Your package.json should contain the tailwind.css again. It will contain the auto prefixer. To contain the post CSS. You need your tailwind image and animate. Then you need your CVS. That's and your CSLX. That's all. So you need all of those things. You can literally just copy what is here and then use it with what I have here. You can see you can literally copy it. It works. Or you can just copy the dependencies and then dependencies aspect of it. It's still the same thing. You can see that nothing changes much. The Plasmo, it's just what it works, what you need right here. So this is how you can do this. Setting up shouldn't be a problem, right? So, but then let me use that setup here so it makes sense. But instead of doing this, since I want to use Radix, I can just decide to say radixui.com. I have Radix already installed. This is the library I want to use. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to increase the size here. Copy this. So I want to use PMPM. I copy this. And it says for me to use this, I have to have Tailwind set up already, right? I need to have Tailwind set up. So what I want to do is I'll just go back here and paste this. So I want to show you guys how the step is in case you want to go through this route or using Radix as well. So after adding, so Radix is a pre-styled component library that decides to work out of the box. So if you want the unstart version, you can use the primitives. So you can install it like this, import the global.css file. This is one important thing. Let me show you how it was done in this case. In this case here, if you go to the globals.css here, if you go to my globals, you can see I'm importing it from the globals directly. Now this is one of the arc I used to get it to work for this program. I prefer this way because all the CSS imports should happen from the same place. So that means it doesn't need to pass my JS before the style library is being processed. The moment my CSS is loading, it's already adding the import directly. This is one of the ways I did it and it worked. And even you see the font also, the font I'm using, you can see it's literally the same thing. So this makes it very easy to work with. So this is one of the ways you can use it. You can copy this global.css if I want to, I can copy it, but let's proceed, right? So in this case, like I said here, importing indirectly works. It's just a matter of adding at here, which is a CSS import syntax, and it works perfectly. Next thing you need to do is add a theme. So what I'm going to do after installing, I'm going to copy this, which I already have, but I'm going to install that to my global.css file, right? So in this case, I don't have global.css, I only have type style.css. So looking at this also, you see that I have style.css. In my own case, I moved it to a directory because I have two CSS files now. It's still the same thing. You can see it here, right? Nothing too crazy. So what I did here is I can move this also to a different place, or I can create a global.css. So which will work similar to what I have here. Nothing too different too. All right, so that works. So the next thing is I'll create my global.css file inside of this. So inside the flavor.css, I'll paste the import radix, so I'll add this to it, right? That works automatically. So like I showed you guys something here also, you will see that all of this I also added. The tailwind base, so this comes before the um, tailwind utilities are added, right? Also, these are, remember, these are just import from tailwind, so the same thing here. So that's the same thing we are actually implementing here. So let me go back to this and go back here. The next thing we need to do is add theme to our layout or the body. So how do we do that? The body here is the popup.tsx. That's your main file in this case. There's no .html here, right? In this case, and there's no layout which we can use. But in this case, we have just the popup.tsx file, which we can use for our use case. Now, in a very more complex code base, you have a layout. For instance, let me show you this page now. This is the extension I was talking about. In this extension, you see the components, you see the pages, you see they have a layout and a router. I'm actually using the React router also similar. So I have a layout for that, and that is where my root layout is. But aside from this also, there's also something I have here I want to show you guys. So I'm just showing this so you can know that there's many ways you can configure your application. You can see it's inside the popup.ts, and that is where I have the theme set up, as you can see here, literally. So it depends on how you want to. So let's go here. We can literally set up our theme here by adding it into coming from Radix like this. So I have to import it from Radix UI. As you can see, this is it. So if you compare this to what is here, you can see it is literally the same thing. So we successfully imported our theme here. Now this example is for Next.js, but remember we are not using Next.js, so we need to also make sure we add it as we should. Why? Because it depends. Like I showed you, there's a way you can do it. It depends. It's just your understanding of how all these libraries work. Next.js, React, Svelte, all of them. You can add it where you know it's your root page or your root entry file. That's it. So now that you have installed that, you can import your flex like this, and it should start working. So let's even try it out. So of course, it's not going to work perfectly like this, but then let's try it out. We have our welcome to this. Let me add it here. Let me add it to the top here. The import, right? So we have the import, and that's okay. So we have our import there. The next thing is I copy this text. Hello from Radix theme, this and that. So I'll paste this here to see if it works. If it works, then it should display successfully using the Radix themes. I can also configure my theme using extra parameters like this, and it should work well. So that's all we need to do. So that's it. That's basically the setup. We need to get it working. So there's also this styling option where you understand how the Radix styling works, right? But we don't bother about that. Next thing we need to do is let's go to Tailwind because we don't have Tailwind set up. So if I go back to the styling, you can see here that we have this. Tailwind is great, but if you plan to use Radix with Tailwind, keep in mind that with economic, we encourage more complex styles on the fly, sometimes reaching to the complex component internals without friction, right? So in this case, then we need to install Tailwind because you can see it's heavily used here. Do you understand? So we need to do that because it's used, but we don't have that installed. So I'm going to go back to setup, and what we need to do is go to tailwind.css. So I'm going to go with. So here, like I said, we can't use version 4. I mentioned we can't use version 4, so we need to go to version 3. So I'm going to be using the latest version of version 3. Any version 3 you use will work fine. The only difference is that you can't use the main Tailwind CSS4 syntax. You can't, but any latest version of version 3 works perfectly well for your use case. So going back to the document, going to installation, I'm just going to increase this. Going to installation, going to the well, we can use the tailwind CLI. It works. It works. We just need to create all of this, input CSS, this and this, but we don't want to use that. So I'm going to go to using post CSS here. I'm just going to copy this because we want to use post CSS like I showed you guys the other time, right? So what I'm going to do is install all of this, the post CSS. So go here also, install this. You can see we are doing tailwind CSS at 3. So just to show you what is happening, if you go to package.json, you will see what's happening. Cannot read properties of not reading matches. Oh wow. Okay, let's see. Let's start with the first one. I think I added the wrong thing here. So we use PNPM, so I'm just going to stick to using PNPM to install that. All right, so that is done. So look at the changes that was added. You can see it added the auto prefixer, the post CSS, like I said the other time. Then it added the Tailwind CSS version 3.4.19, similar to the one I showed you guys here. From this, you can see it added the same thing. There's the auto prefixer here, which is the dev dependencies. You can see auto prefixer post CSS Tailwind, which literally the same thing. Tailwind, auto prefixer, where is it? Post CSS. Where is post CSS? Okay, just post CSS import here. I think post CSS is here somewhere. Yeah, this is it. Right. So similar stuff. So we have that installed. So let's do the next thing. npx tailwind CSS init. So that is going to just set up our tailwind.config.js. That's the essence of this. So I can do that manually by just writing input. Like I said, if you want to do it, you can see this just got created. So I'm going to update this with using something like this. But in this case, what that means is that whatever directory you want it to watch for is what you want to configure. So in this case, I will change the content to this because I want it to watch inside the source directory also. So inside my content, I'm going to do this. I'm going to add my source directory, but something is going to change. Now we don't have just HTML at all. So it's going to be JS, JSX, TS, TSX. Literally, that's all. So that means whatever is inside your source directory is what we are watching out for, which is perfect. That's what we are trying to do. So that is it. So add your tailwind directory to your main.css. In this case, it's going to be my global.css. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to add it here. That's all. So yeah, and that is it. You can run your server and everything should work fine for this. Now let's try if this is perfect, right? Let's try if there's anything we need to add that we've not done. So let me run the server and try that. So I'm going to say pm. Let's look at what command do we use to run it? Dev. So pm dev. So if you run Plasmo dev will automatically just do that for you. Open your default browser and then you can use it. So as you can see, there's no environment variables yet. So if you have an environment variable, then it will load that immediately starts up. So currently as you can see, extension repackage in 3709 milliseconds. So if you want to check the extension itself, what you need to do is you go to your .plasmo like this, or your build folder. You see the Plasmo is created for you, and you see a build folder. Your build folder will contain two files. When you build, it's going to contain a Chrome MV3 prod. But now that we are just working with Plasmo dev, it's going to contain Chrome MV3 dev. So this dev is your local development while you're still working. But when you're about to publish it, you need to build to generate a Chrome MV3 prod version, which is the smaller version of it. While you are developing, this can get very large. But as you can see, this is what we are going to be seeing in our extension. You can see generated HTML files, popup.html file, which is just converting this popup.tsx to popup.html. Options, same thing as option.tsx. New tab, you can see new tab.html. So it's just converting what it was there before, content to Plasmo .ts. So it's literally the same thing here. So that's what we need. You can see the background which is static and the background here which you have .ts. So that's all. So what we're going to do to make it work is we are going to go back to our browser that we want to use to test extension. In this case, this is the browser I want to use to test my extension. So I want to use this browser. This is my current wallet, right? So I'm going to open a new one. So I'm going to go to extension. I'm going to go to developer mode is on. So I'm going to go here. No, not this one. I'm going to go to the extension like this. I'm going to go here and add new extension. So just go to the settings of your, not this one. So I'm going to go here to add new extension. I'm going to go to manage extensions rather. So if I go to manage extensions, you will see it's going to show me these settings, right? You can check that on any browser. Now, if you look at this, you will see there are two different Wallet Pro. This is the one that is on the Chrome store currently. This is the one that is on my dev currently. You can see dev there. You can see this doesn't have dev, right? So that's the difference. So two things you need to understand here is this was the first one I built that was like terrible. I should have even removed this one. But then this is how it works. So first, what we are going to do is we are going to load the unpacked extension. So how do we do that? We need to go to the directory, which is Anomac. Anomac is a WebStorm project. So I need to locate where it is and go to WebStorm projects here. and go to Anomac like this, go to the build, like I said, open this and select this. So you will see that it automatically loads it. Dev Anomac, similar to how you see Dev Ole Pro. The same version, the description, and the ID. So to give it an ID. So if I go here, you will see that I automatically have it in the extension aspect. I just need to pin it here, and that is it. You can see what it shows me. It shows me this. So that means it works. It shows me this view that looks terrible, but it works. You can see. So if I close it, it works. So what I need to do is I need to pin it to the browser, and you can see now it works too. So I'll change it from developer mode here. What happened? Oh no, 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 no. I'm going to take it back. So I'm going to take it back to developer mode, right? So that I can use that. So I'm going to click on this. If I click on this, it shows me this way, right? Does it work? Does it not work? You can see that we can drag it as a window, but it doesn't really work yet. It's showing so small. So what we can do now is we have all our extension available, right? So I'm going to open this one, the previous one that we have. That's the one you can see. This is how it's supposed to show you as a window. So if I click this as a window, if I click this as a window, it's supposed to pop up. And you can see I have two of them. Okay, I have this one opened, which is closed whenever I just navigate away. So this is what's supposed to happen. So next thing to do now is to modify some things. You can see for now that it doesn't display the way it's supposed to. So what we are going to do first of all is we are going to go back to the pop-up, remove everything we added for this. So two things first before we even remove this. Remember we did this globals, right? Let me collapse it. We did globals.this and we imported this, but where are we using the globals actually? Where are we using styles? Let's go to pop-up. Are we using style from pop-up? No. So where are we using style exactly? Are we using style anywhere? Let's search for it. Let's do a global search. If you do a global search .css, you can see that it is imported. That means it's used in new tab here. And if you go back to our extension again, let me open a new page. Let's just see. So if I go back, so if I go back to plasmo.com, let's just assume I'm using plasmo.com and I go to the documentation page and I have this. So if I go back here to the extension itself, I have this. Let's try seeing what is here. You can see we have something like welcome, we have hello, we have radix, and we have a button. Let's go. So that means it's actually loading is loading the pop-up for us. You can see the let's go. So that means this is what is being loaded. But something is wrong. Two things. Is either the theme here doesn't work as it's supposed to, because it's not supposed to work that way. So I'm going to remove the theme, right? Just to be on the safe side. I'm totally going to remove the theme. We're going to add it back just to see what happens. So if I do this, you will automatically notice that I repackage the extension. So if I go back here and I close this, I reopen it, what happens? It's still showing that way. So that means that's not the problem. So the problem is that something is not working as it should. So I'm going to take back the thing and add it back to it like this. You are cool, right? So now I'm going to leave this so you can see the changes as it updates every single time. So I'm going to clear it so you can notice the change. So currently that means we need to do two things. First of all, our pop-up is what is being displayed because our pop-up is the entry point, the default page that has been shown. But it's not perfect because it's not giving us everything we want. It's either the flex, the tailwind CSS we imported is not working perfectly yet, or something is still missing. So one way to discover what is missing is if you go back to style.css, you can see the background color is this. If you change the background color to black, what happens? Does it work? You can see this repackaged. Now let's see. If you go back to this and we open this extension now, do we have the black? No. So that means it doesn't work as it's supposed to. So something is still missing. So we need to still check this again. So that means our style doesn't work for this, but our style worked for the new tab. So how do we know if the new tab is working? Right. So one way to know if the new tab is working, I'll show you guys that one later. Let's go to, okay, if you go back to tab pages, you will see it from here. If you go to new tab pages, you want to check if the tab is working. You just need to click the extension /tab/ the name of the tab. And then you will see the new tab automatically working. So let's test that out. What's the name of our extension? If you go back to the extension settings page, let's go to the extension settings page. um, manage. So let's go to, no, not this. Let's go to extension. Let's go to manage. So if you go to manage extension, we can get the name of our extension, right? By going to details. By going to details, I can get the name. This is going to be the name. And so if I go here, paste the name of the extension. Remember, it says, what do we need to do from the documentation? It says we need to copy Chrome extension slash this, right? So let's paste that here. So I'm going to copy the name of this extension. No, copy the name of this extension and go to Chrome. Okay, you know what? Copy the name of the extension. Go back to where we copy the ID. Then let's do this. Then do Chrome extension, the extension ID slash new tab dot html. Even though it's in JSX like this, you see the name of the tab is new tab dot tsx. But remember, we saw dot html when we checked the here, which is this one dot html, right? So that's what we are going to use. So if I click on this now, it will load welcome to Plasmo extension for me, as you can see. Now, that means it can open a full page version for you. If I change this to black, you can see it changes to black immediately. Auto reload. So that means the style.css is working, but the global.css works nowhere. So how do we import the style.css? The same way we import the style.css here. Let's import it in popup.tsx. So let's import that. So let's import the next thing, which is our globals.css. That's it. So now let's go back to this and try it again. So if you go back, you can see it's now bigger. You can see that it's bigger. You can see that I can scroll. So that means something has changed. Something has definitely changed. You can see this as a color now, but the window is still not movable. So we will assume that this is a problem with this, but it's not, because if I still open my extension again, you can see the way it opens. Opens fine, perfectly well. So it has nothing to do with the way it works. So that means something is missing, something is not working as it should. So going back to global.css, it simply means now we have something working to a very reasonable extent. We are sure it works to an extent. So how can we be sure it works? We can see here that this is display flex direction. Give it a width of 300, right, by default, and see what happens. So if I go back to this and I click on this now, you can see this. So the width have been configured, and automatically by configuring the width, you can see I have this button. So that means Radix already works, because this is the way Radix button works. This style has been changed. So how am I sure Radix works? Automatically, it's just for me to do this. If I go back to Radix, no, not that. If I go back to Radix here, which is here, you see the button. You see how this looks. Let's go to overview. No, not overview. Let's go to, okay, yeah, this is the button. You can see the button is blue. You can see the way it works. Let's compare that to the way our button here works. You can see it works similarly, almost the same thing. And then you can see this here, which is just the text box. So that means we've successfully set up our project. But we are not done. We are not done. We are not done. We need to do something, because we like the way it's displayed. So that means our team is working, the team that we set up. So we need to go back to our Radix and look at what we need to set up. We've done our get started perfectly well, but we need to set up some other things. What is the accent color? Let's try using this and see what changes. So if I go back here, change this to that, and go back to my extension, you can see the color already changes automatically to this pink. So this is the accent color we are using. The accent color is what? Is the pink, is the crimson. So that works automatically. So we are good to go. And I can see the radius has changed, and every other thing changes too. So that means, yes, we are good to go, right? It works perfectly well. So we can remove the default one, which is welcome to your Plasma extension. That means we've created our first extension, right? This is how it's going to look. So I'm going to close the new tab. The new tab can be for what you want to show in terms of like full screen pages and stuff. So you don't really need a router to show many multiple pages. If you don't have multiple pages to show, you can use this concept to show multiple pages. So I can close that. So if you want to create multiple pages as well, what we can do is we can create a tabs folder and create multiple pages in our tabs folder, and it will work the same way. You just change the URL and it works perfectly well. So that's what we need to do. So you can see that our extension works here with the same size we created for it. So we can define the size as we want. We can change it from 300 to 400, and we see it's going to be larger. You can see it here. So we don't want that. Let's give it a default size of 360, which is usually like the normal size for an extension, right? So I like this way. I like it like this. The text is perfect. The accent color, you can see the text also maintains the accent color, right? The text is okay. The accent color is okay. The text is perfectly aligned and stuff. So we are good to go. For terms of configuration and alignment, we already understand that this ought reloads too. So I'm going to close that. We are okay. So I'm going to remove this. We don't need the welcome to your Plasma extension anymore. Now that we have our configuration set, see how easy it was to set up our configuration, right? Now we can give our AI a very informed way of how we should work. So two things I'm going to do. First of all, there's already a GitHub set up for me, which you can see from here .github, but it's not our own. So, but you can see it contains a workflow that we can use. The workflow here is how you can push to any Chrome store, any store you want to post to. In this case, you can push to Chrome store, Edge, that's Microsoft Edge store, even to Firefox. You just need to configure this to work like that, and it automatically does the push for you. So I will leave that as it is. We'll come back to that eventually later on. So what I'm going to do is I'll check the Git remote. Definitely there's no remote. So there's no remote URL yet. We are not posting anywhere. So going back to this, I'm going to collapse that and I'm going to just leave it this way. So but we are going to push everything we have currently and the setup, we are going to push it to we are going to commit that. First of all, it's good practice to always commit your implementation. So before doing that, I'm going to add certain things to my Git ignore. You can see from here that I have a lot of unnecessary things like copilot this. The reason why this is here is because it's for my .ide, which is the IDE I'm using. It also has certain things that I want to add, but I don't want that to be added. So if I go back here, you can see that it has removed all of those things. That means I've successfully ignored what I don't want. So what else do I need to ignore? Well, so far so good. Everything is fine. So I'm going to leave that, commit all of these things here, create a commit message for it using one of my installed IDs also. To create a very detailed and specific commit message that I can use. So it's going to commit that and add here automatically and just push it. And so that means I can automatically use it. So that's what I'm going to add. So waiting for this to be complete, waiting for this to be complete. Yeah. So I'll commit this as you can see, and that is done. So I'm going to remove this git ignore too that we have here. So now we have this. I'm going to remove this style too. I will just leave the hello from Radix theme, but that is not going to be good enough. Remember the width we have is this. So that means we need to have a theme by default that works. I'm going to leave a div here. I'm going to move this on impute change because I don't think we are using the data anyway. Yeah, it's just terrible. There's no need for that. So the footer also, we don't need that. So we're going to leave this div, which is our default um, body, and I'm just going to leave it that way. So whatever we want to add to it is just going to be coming from our global.css file. You can see it's basically just React. You can see the state and everything. So if you're familiar with React, you can build an extension. It's that simple. So we are good with that. So you can see we have this. So as we are removing it, you can see that it's working on just immediately, like it's not reloading, adding it on the fly. Nothing is changing. So we need to now decide. Now that we have this, how will our implementation look like? Will it look like this? Well, that's what we want to try out. So now we have our PRD. Remember, we have our PRD. This is going to be quite simple, actually. It's not going to be something too crazy. AI already generated even half of the code for me the other time, if you remember, from here, where I showed you guys the charts, right? It already generated half of the code. But the point is, we are not using normal HTML. It's not sustainable for what we are trying to build. It's too big, and that means we need to take more time to add some things. There's JS, which is cool. There's the message. There's the other things, but we don't want all of this. And then this is the manifest of JSON. But in this case, the manifest of JSON is what we add in ourselves. So what I'm going to do in this case is using the PRD, get our own AI to do it in a way that aligns with the React way so that we can have multiple libraries and then we can have very good optimizations without losing track of what is supposed to work well. So I'll just open the AI and say, okay, I'll start with A. I want to, here is my PRD, prd.md, which details what I want to build for this project. Can you help build this? How do you want to get started? So I'm going to ask this question. So he's going to reference it because what is happening here? Sign in. Come on. All right, just give me a minute, guys. Let me sign in. I have to use my credentials. So yeah. All right, that's done. Let me trigger this back. Let me share my screen again. So back. All right, so we're good to go. So next thing, yeah, you can see it's working now. So it says the user has provided a comprehensive PRD for building a Chrome extension that captures full page screenshots and provides annotation tools. This is a complex project that involves multiple components, Chrome extension of this, full page stuff, annotation tools, editor interface, and to explore current code base to understand what's already been built and what needs to be implemented. Let me start by examining this to get the sense of the current state of the project. Really, from the file structure, I can see this appears to be a Plasma project based on this. So two things I'm going to do right before I proceed with this is to keep reading the file and create a plan for me on how it's going to implement it, which is normal. But like I said the other time, AI already gave us the AI used to like resource the idea and kind of like scaffold it. Already gave me some things. I'm not using the manifest.json. Manifest.json is automatically created by Plasmo, so there's no point you doing that in your use case. So it has the HTML to which I'm not trying to change anything. And you can see the use case is simple, just capture full page and implement popup.js. So in this case, popup.js is just a simple thing that runs the start full capture. So what is the start full capture command? So if you go to the background.js here, what is going to happen here? I can copy this, right? And it's going to automatically use this. That's this background.js. This background.js should tell me what should work and what should not work. So I can give this to the AI to make decisions. But this is going to be using the same HTML vibe, right? Which I don't want. As you can see, is adding it by HTML. This is not secured in any form in any way, and you can easily make mistake. And you have the capture.js also, which works. So I can create all of this myself and then convert it to. I can copy this there and tell the AI to convert it to an actual JSX format and then use the HTML, which basically just makes it work. But that's not what we want to do. And then we have an editor.js. But then instead of doing this, it can create it in a different way entirely. So that's what I'm going to do. So one more thing, I can increase the scale before we proceed, right? Some of the configuration I added the other time, like the crimson here, I don't want to do that. I want to retain, okay, we can retain the crimson color. I don't know if you guys like it or not, but I think it's cool. So I'm just going to leave it. That's this crimson color, right? If I click it again, it pops up like this. So let's make it let's add the dark mode to it, right? There's a way you can add dark mode to it. I think let's add the dark mode to it. Class name dark. Right. So I think you can add the dark mode by yeah. So like this, you can just add the dark to it. So let's make it dark completely from the start. And if you add just dark to it, it's just going to follow the dark mode way, and that's it. So we can also increase the scaling. The scaling is 90 here. I can make it 105. So if you notice the 105, you notice the button will increase, the text increases automatically. Let me show that again. So let me go back to 95. Notice the way the button is here already. You can see it reducing, right? So if I go back to 105, you can see to make it significantly very clear. So I'm going to make it 195. Okay, there's no 195%. I think it goes from 90 something to 100 and something. I'm not sure entirely. Yeah, this is it, 110. So if I use the 110, I'm having to, if I use 110 like this, you can see it's the size increasing exponentially. So we can do that. So that's a possibility. So I'm just going to leave it as 95, right? And leave it as dark by default. So once we are done with that, we can always change this accent color later. We can use something like amber. In this case, it's going to be yellow, as you can see. So this is very nice. It's cool and all, but you don't need to bother about it, right? So that's basically what we are trying to do here. So the next thing is you have the plan created, perfect, have analyzed your PRD and current code base. You have a solid foundation with Plasmo based Chrome extension. It's currently just the basic boilerplate based on a comprehensive PRD. I can see exactly what needs to be built, this and this and this. So I've already set up all of this. It's able to understand that, which is cool. One needs to be built, complete full page screen capture with scroll and stitch algorithm, annotation engine with canvas based tool, editor interface with toolbar, this. I've broken down into logical phases based on a PRD, phase one, phase two. So what I'm going to do first of all, as I always do if you've been following me, is to first of all start with writing, telling you to create the phase for me. So I'm going to say implementation plan. I'm going to create an implementation plan .md file for it. So I'll tell you to write the phases and the steps into this implementation plan. So I'll say, okay, before we proceed, I'll write the write this implementation plan in implementation plan.md. I want to be able to track what you will work on and also have it tracked by other LLMs so I can basically for progress tracking and checking out what works. So this is what I'm going to give to you. So giving it this is just going to tell you to write it into this file because I've created it. So it's easy. It doesn't need to work with creating the file. This is because of tool issues. Tool issues is one of the things that tooling is one of the things that AI is good at and bad at. If a tool implementation goes wrong, you can lose the entire file on your laptop. If it goes right, everything works as you plan. So you're just going to say, okay, yeah, project overview, this, this, and this, and this. I want to also see so I can change it. If I change some of the phases based on what I want or I don't want, then it can make more sense. So I'm just going to say, yes, write it. So I'll toggle from plan mode to act mode. It's always a good idea to plan before asking AI to write, especially nowadays whereby AI just wants to do it for you. Like I've had a lot of issues where you just say, "Oh, thank you, I know how to do this." Like most of this that you um this code base, I didn't ask it to generate it. I just said, "Okay, suggest I'm going to build it," and it just built it for me. So it's always important to know that okay, you want to tell it, don't do this yet, do this first, don't do this yet, start with this. Let me see the plan first. So once the plan is done and it's accurate and it's cool the way you want it to be, then you can tell it to proceed. So in this case now it has all of these phases, phase one, phase two. So I'll just go through the phase. It shouldn't take time. But if you want to actually build something that works and lasts with AI, you need to take your time. AI is not a magic wand that you just wave and everything works. It's always, I'm sure you see that online and people be like, oh, I one shot this thing, but they won't tell you what goes into one shotting it. They have crafted, detailed prompts that one shotted the entire thing. The prompt itself takes more time than the implementation. And if you ask anybody that one shot any cool stuff lately, ask them how they do it. Ask them to show you the prompt. Ask them to show you the workflow. Ask them to show you how they wrote their prompt, the structure, the pattern, the language, the use of tone. All of these things are important to get what you want from AI, and they know, but nobody tells you those things. They just gives you the end result. It's the way it is. So, but then, like I'm saying, and I'll keep saying, telling you here, AI is still just a computer. It's garbage in and garbage out. You need to be careful. Take time to read your stuff. There's no magic wand anywhere. Don't be dissuaded and persuaded with everything everybody says out there. Just prompt it and it works. No one line command prompt and fixes what you want for you. It's not where AI is not there yet. Right? Even humans don't get a one line command and just do everything perfect. They need follow-up commands to be able to know what to do. So please and please, there's nobody reads your mind to know what works. So don't be scammed, right? Don't go buying a very high plan of Claude and expect it to just fix your work for you. Just burn through your credit and that's it. So point to note. So yeah, let's go through this. Implementation plan for the Anomac Chrome extension. Anomac is the Chrome extension that captures full page screenshot and provides smart annotation tools. This, view to this, boilerplate to this, React, Redis user item, CSS capture implemented, blah blah blah. Updates manifest permission, add required permissions, active tabs, scripting, storage. Yes, but it's not supposed to touch my manifest.json because it has no reason to touch that. It has no. Let me show you this one. If I show you this package.json file, you can see my manifest, right? I didn't add any, okay, except for the fact that I added the storage and everything, which is also going to be used. It's not supposed to add it for me. So hopefully it doesn't touch that because it knows I'm using Plasmo. I'm supposed to also tell it that it should maintain Plasmo. Okay, so it's already added here, so I'm sure it should be able to do the right thing. So set up the messaging system, yes. Implement pop-up, background communication, background to context script communication, which is perfect. Storage utilities, yes, 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 yes. Full page screen capture system, context script, document metrics planning, create scrolling plan algorithm, background, HTML to canvas fallback integration, error handling project cases, annotation engine. Now, this is a cool stuff. Yeah, the annotation engine is perfect because I want to have a canvas architecture. Annotation simply means that, for instance, now this is what annotation means. So if I go here, for instance, and I go to here, this is what I refer to as annotation. I can write on the page, I can mark it. These are annotations. All of these things, the arrows, the points, the colors, they're all annotations. So that means I need to have an annotation engine built into it. Now, the idea is this: when I'm browsing and I see something on the page, I literally don't want to leave that page, right? I just want to snap this and that's it. There's something already that works similar to this. It's called Pockets, but it was discontinued after a long time. So annoying, but yes, it was discontinued. It was built by Firefox, I guess, built by Firefox. Then it was brought down sometimes last year. Is it last year or 2024? I'm not entirely sure, but it was brought down. I had a lot of things on that file. I used it a lot, or not a lot, but at the time I used it a lot, and later on I stopped using it a lot. And I've been trying to look for a tool that works. So now, if you can successfully build this, you can use that for Pockets. Change it to Pockets. I don't want to use the name Pockets too. But I think that's a cool name. I might steal the name if you want, if there's no Pocket on the Chrome store. But I'll just call it that no mark for now, which makes sense. So action model and state management, we create the action, we create the addition to implementation, which we have here. So I'm going to just close this since we are not using this yet, right? We are not using that. That was my extension before. So we are going to implement all the tools: arrow tool, rectangle tool, ellipse tool, freehand tool, text tool, blur reduction tool. So we want to implement all the tools, right? So we've not really planned out to go premium yet, but these are things that should be available to people because, like I say, it's a money making extension. It's not supposed to be entirely free, but the basic functionality should be free, which is cool. That's the same way every extension. You want to make money with this one. So that's basically how we are going to work. So export and storage, export functionality, clipboard integration, local storage management, then polish and edge cases, then all of these things. So let's start with phase one, right? I already understand that it gives me all of this things: unit testing, risk mitigation, user experience risk. Okay, so technical metrics. If I really want to prompt it now, I'll give you some specific instruction on how the code, what code rules, syntax rules you should use in terms of, okay, ensure the code maintains this, ensure it maintains this. But I'm not really thinking of that for now. This is just to show you guys what is capable, and then we prompt that later on, probably in the next part, which is next part of the series, because this is a 7-part series. In case you don't know, it might be 7, might be 5, depending on how fast we are. Well, let's say this is a 7-part series. So in the next part of the series, if we need to prompt more stuffs, we can. So between now and the next 30 minutes, let's see what we can implement with AI. So in the previous series I did, which was the build a mobile Web3 wallets series. This is what I built, in case you're wondering. This is what we built. So what we did with this, we built this in less than a week. Let's say a week generally from scratch, just like the way we are doing now. Set up everything on the call, and also you can also check this out if you're interested in how this works. Like it probably works, everything works perfectly well. Just decide what you want to do and everything. With fetching, you can see all of this. So, but this is not what you're working on today. I'm just showing you guys what is possible. So the same way we built that from scratch, implementing it, and then you can also push it to the Chrome store. The same way we are doing this also. So what's the point here? We'll get started with this. But in this case, when we build this, I didn't really use AI for a lot, but this is going to require a lot of AI. So this took a longer time because we did it for, let's say, minimum of 3 hours every day, 2 hours to 3 hours. So let's say an average of 3 hours for 7 days. That's 21 hours total to build the entire thing. You see from here and all of these things, and logging out, logging in, creating your account using your email, signing out, and all of those things. But in this case, we use a lot of AI because I don't want to rewrite all of these things again. So now this is what we're going to do. So I'll say, okay, cool. I see the phases now. Well written. Let's start with the implementation. Start with phase one, then proceed to the other phases once phase one is completely done. So I'm going to tell you to do this. So I won't act directly. I want you to understand and tell me, okay, I'm ready. Then I tell you to work. I just want to give it and say push. AI can be so honestly, I've had experiences with AI that you probably have trust issues with the way it works. But trust me, yeah, this is what I'm looking for. To tell me that okay, perfect, I'm ready to start implementing. So once it tells me this, I know that it's already active, it's already fine-tuning its own prompts that it's going to pass to itself because there are certain levels of prompts. We have the user prompt, we have the system prompt. So the system prompt is what the AI actually uses for itself. So the moment it says I'm ready, turn this on, that means it's going to prepare this system prompt it needs for itself. And then in my own experience, this works best because then it already does everything it needs, prepares itself, then you just say, okay, go, and it goes. But if that doesn't happen, trust me, be careful what be careful how you plan and give AI instructions. Another thing is how it writes files. It's always very, very tricky. And most LLMs don't know how to write files. They don't know how to use tools well. For instance, now he's trying to write here, but you can see that nothing was applied twice. Just now that we told you to write something. So it can be very terrible. He wants to write this, but it still doesn't work. He doesn't even know how to write it yet. So that's the problem, right? So writing to a file should be easy for you, but you're still having issues writing to the file. I've experienced this a lot with this particular model I use. And see, still, this is the fourth time, right? You can see there's an issue replacement, there's an issue with this. Let me say precise this, add an error. It has not started any update yet, but it's already making errors four times. So this is not something that gives you enough confidence to work, right? I think this should clarify a lot for you guys. So finally gets it to start working, writes out all of this, host permissions is all URLs. So it's adding two things to it. You can see the HTML to canvas. The HTML to canvas is a library. Let me show you guys HTML to canvas. The HTML to canvas is the script allows you to take screenshot of web pages or parts of it directly on the user browser. So that's basically what it does. It's a library that's so widely used that you will see that now. Let me show you. I still have a problem with why npm don't have a dark mode. Like, why? Like, it's so weird that I really don't know what to say. Like, for example, this is cargo. Like, this is cargo, right? This is cargo for you. For Rust. Okay, it's not cargo.sh. Crates. Let me go to crates rather, not cargo. So this is crate.io, right? In fact, let's go to cargo itself, not crates now. Let me go to cargo. Let's run crates.io, not the library, not this. Okay, let me go to the docs. This is how it looks like, right? This is how cargo looks like. This is how crates look like. This is the way it should be. Like, why would this be like this? Like, I just can't think, just seem to understand. NPM for that matter, for all the whole thing, for devs and all, and this is how it looks like. Imagine working in a dark mode and you just move to NPM and your face just zoom. It's crazy. Like, really, really crazy. And I've tried this before, saying like go to their GitHub to see what happens. It's just too bright. Probably this will finally get me to go there to change it to dark mode. Like if I've not even done it once and I've forgotten I've done it. Because it's always a problem for me. There's a lot of things here. I can't even tell which one is which one is the platform. All you need to take is just to add the toggle, dark this, and that's all. Like It's as simple as you can think of. I literally don't understand why that is so difficult to do. NPM, jeez, too many packages. I don't even know which one is the browser. I actually want to bookmark it so that when I'm chance, I can just write it and raise a PR for that because it's annoying. How long will it take you to adjust dark mode to a particular site that is built for developers? For crying out loud, for developers. This is the npm archive. Repository remove into this npm docs. It's not the docs, the actual site. It's not open source. I don't know. www static pages. Okay, let me open this in a new space. Let's go here to see. Okay, let me check the one I just opened first of all. Static pages was archived this. It's not used only 12 years ago. Oh no, this is not it. This is just the about page. This is this terrible. Yeah, let's go to the previous page. There's one I saw before the www. What did you just go to page one? What's that with GitHub? Are you kidding me right now? What's that? Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, I give up. I'll probably do this later on. Let's just continue. I think that was what chased me the first time I went there to check this out. Like, all right, so why AI still does all of these things? It has installed HTML to Canvas. That's what I wanted to show you guys, right? I kind of deviated. Oh my god, this is too bright. So HTML to Canvas, you have this. So basically, what it does is allows you to take screenshots, yeah, based on the DOM and such may not be 100% accurate to the real representation as it does in actual screenshot, but builds the screenshot based on the information available on the page. It does not require any rendering from the servers. The image is created on the client browser, heavily dependent on the browser, not suitable to be used in Node.js. It's magically circumvent any browser policy, this and this and this. So it's just one collaborator. I think. hmm. Okay, let me search for alternatives to this. I feel like there should be a newer package. Yeah, key alternatives to this include client-side library, HTML to image, DOM to image, Snap DOM for in-browser rendering, Puppeteer for commercial. This popular this that address many bugs, TypeScript support. DOM to image should be old, so it's less maintained than this. That is fast, also faster and handles more complex CSS better than this. Snapdom, a newer open source library designed for modern replacement, focus on accuracy and speed rendering with this. Solve issue with IDPI screens and complex video element. Exactly. I think this is what I want to use. Snapdom should be the best option. You know what? Let me scroll down a bit before I make my decision. So rendering accuracy, good, very good, good, excellent. Yeah, I'm not using Puppeteer for this. Then we have good. So here's the last one. There's no Snapdom comparison. Okay, let's check HTML to image. I think I prefer that one. So we check HTML to image, we check Snapdom. So this is it. This is 2025. So I think that makes sense. So HTML to image says ES6, ES5 to top level to PNG, SVG, JPEG. Okay, I think I'm going to use this instead of that one. And this is significantly still Very, very less. 315 kilobytes 1 year ago. This is perfect. It's very small, smaller than the initial one. And these are you can see will react to PNG and you just capture it, you download it. Nice. All right, so I'm going to tell the AI to change between using the current one to using this one. I think this should be better. But just to not just use an option. So I'm going to say snap DOM. Snap DOM also should work. Let's see if it works. So this is a snap DOM. This is a fully browser based, no canvas hack, no server dependency, just JS process VJ. Wow, okay, cool. So I'm going to make my decision between both of them just to see which one I decide to use. It's just be based on my decision now. So this is 6 months ago, 187 kilobytes. I think it's even smaller than this one, which is cool. So this is nice. I think I have more options now, and I'm just going to stick to one of them. But I'll make my decision based on which one I prefer, based on the reusability, and see which one works best. So this one says weekly downloads is 19. I don't mind that. Fast, style aware, format options, shadow DOM support, embedded systems, sudo and fonts, export to SVG, JPG, web canvas of this, ultra fast no dependency, 100 based on standard web APIs. Okay, I'm down for that. This one has some independence 0, dependence 543, 1 million plus downloads. So it says this is generate an HTML from a DOM node using HTML5 canvas and SVG. So this is how it works. But it has a React. Yeah, you guys need to React. I don't know if this one can be used with React, but it should be able to work with React respective. But that's subjective. You can't be too sure if it works with React or not. So it says, let's see the comparison between this and this. So Snapdom works 0.4 milliseconds. This is 70.3 milliseconds. Okay, it's still small, but compared to this and Snapdom, which is the current version, it's like it's too slow. Crying out loud. Okay, for simple element, it says the following benchmark compare this. So for simple elements, small is for small images, 200 by 100 takes 0.4 milliseconds. So it's consistent across different dimensions. So for complex ones, 1.1 milliseconds. Wow. Okay, I think I'm going to install that. It seems cool. It seems cool. But aside from the fact that we just want to do that, what other thing can we do with it? Does it have other functions we can use? Like for instance, to pixel data, to canvas, to blob, to JPEG, to SVG, to PNG. I'm looking for that problem both of them have. Every library has this problem. So that's what I'm looking for. If I see a problem that puts me off, then I go off of that one. So it says things to watch out for. If the DOM node you want to render includes a canvas element with something wrong, it should be handled fine. Unless the canvas is tainted, in this case, rendering will rather not succeed. Rendering will fail on each DOM due to data URI limit values. So, but in this case, I'm looking for what this one says, watch for that. So they say limitations, external images should be core accessible. Use proxy option for handling cause denied. Iframes are not supported. Okay. WP format is used on Safari to fall back to PNG rendering. Font face CSS is well supported, but if you need to use JS font face, still work around. Okay. Crazily, I've not decided yet, but we'll decide. Let's just get this done. That will be our future update, I guess. And so while AI is still making these changes for us, let's see if it can get it working fully. Oh, I've missed a lot of things happening here. Okay. So it's terribly having issues. You can see it making mistake. Search patterns don't match anything, don't match anything, don't match anything. So he's making mistakes, I'm sure. But if you check the implementation plan, has he updated anything? Yes, it has updated 1, 2, 2.2 is on 2.3 currently. So I believe the issue is having now is with the HTML2 canvas dependency, which we might just tell it to change eventually, since we have gotten a better library. So I'll tell you to proceed with and writing this. So what we're going to change is, since it's familiar with HTML to Canvas, which is cool, but like we saw, it's not fast enough. So what we can do is, since we are trying to make this a money-making extension, we need to install something that is faster than its competition, or that gives a better edge than its competition. So what better way to do that than to use something that is way faster, which is in this case 0.4 milliseconds. It just works as fast as possible. And one more thing we can do is make it that whatever you snap here is accessible across your mobile phones, right? We want to have that real timeness. Oh, we're going to have something like that, and I can assure you we are going to have something like that. And how we are going to do it is going to be pretty interesting. You have something in mind. We'll talk about this in the next part of the series. I have something that work real time for us. Definitely have that. So we are going to, let's run this to see if it works. So it's implemented everything for phase one, even though it has gone to phase two a bit, but it's still telling me it's just phase one, which is fine. I don't have a problem. Um, so let's see what we have now. Let's run this. See what we have. And npm is almost giving me a dick at this point. All right, so we can see it has this anomark capture and annotate full page screenshot. So if I click on capture full page, what does it do? So it says click to capture the entire page and open the annotation editor. Does it work? Does it fail? We don't know. Let's check. So it says fail. Content key this doesn't exist. So I'm going to close this. So it means something is already failing. We have a sec vault already, a sec vault. So I'm going to close this. Fine, it's fine. So I'm going to proceed while running. Let me extend this to see. So because this works, so let me try this again. Let's test it on one of these npm pages. So capture the full page. Does it throw any error here? Or it doesn't. Or it doesn't do anything. Let's see. Let's inspect if it fails. Maybe there's any error. Let's go to console. There's no error in the console. So we can't be sure if it fails or if it works or anything. So I'll just proceed with this. Uh, so it's done, right? You can see start new task. So now that we are done with this, this might be a good time to switch to a newer library. So I'm going to switch to HTML to image first. I know that this seems faster and all, but I'm not entirely sure. Looking at some of the issues we may have here, because I can see a lot of it. It says fixed with an item distort image, cross origin images. But that is usually and is normal, right? Cross imaging issues are quite normal for stuff like this. So what this says, how it works, they might someday exist or maybe they already exist. They simply of exporting parts of the HTML to image and the description side of this. I feel like this one has more contributors and the size is small. Published a year ago, total size is 82. This has less contributors, just one. Total of 8 files. This is used in production because according to this, is used by a lab, Zoomly, a Zoom-based view transition framework. So I believe it's used also by people and also used in production. Okay, you know what? I'm going to go with this. I'll go with this. I will tell AI to switch. Okay, so this has already used almost all the tokens. So I'm going to go to a new page and say, okay. So I'm going to go back and tell it to start a new task. New task. So I'll tell it to condense all the stuffs from here and tell it to create a new task that I'm going to use for the new page for the phase two implementation. So we've gotten to the init hallucination stage. He's just going to keep telling me this task completed. It's not going to create the new task for me, which is what I'm expecting. So we are back to that aspect. So I'm just going to do this. So while it is writing all of this, right, I decide to use this snap DOM because it's fully TypeScript and type safe. So yeah, like I said, I know it doesn't have money weekly uploads compared to the HTML to images, but yeah, I'm willing to risk it. Yeah, I'm willing to risk it. But if it has any issues with doing that, I might just change it to use HTML to image. So let's get this done. Just a simple implementation. If it works, then we know that, oh yeah, cool, we are done. Then we work with something else. So really, this is what you wanted to write. Like I said, it's just hallucinated again. So I'm just going to go here. It's not what I was expecting, but this is what he did. So I'm just going to tell it to I see that implementation plan has phase one already completed. Let's proceed to phase two. But I want to change from using HTML to Canvas to using this library. Snapdom is a newer library and also a smaller library which should have a smaller footprint and also faster, way faster than HTML to Canvas. Are you familiar with Snapdom? So this is me asking it questions about the implementation and the change I want to make. So it says the user wants to proceed with phase two, but they want to change from using HTML2 to Snapdom instead. They're asking for familiar with this. Let me first gather some information about the current state of the project and this. So it needs to know phase one is completed, yes, phase two is progressing 5%. So next thing it says, gather for information. Let me check the current implementation. Then it says, yes, I'm familiar with Snapdom. It's an excellent choice for replacing this. Let me research the latest Snapdom APIs and capabilities to give you a comprehensive migration plan. Snap DOM over several significant advantages over HTML2 canvas. Performance much faster, due to optimize DOM traversal, smaller bundle size, yes, which is modern API, promise better with better TypeScript support, more faithful rendering of complex CSS and web fonts, better support for modern browser features. Current implementation analysis uses this with scrolling and stitching. Fallback uses this when Chrome APIs fail. uh, Migration plans from HTML to Canvas to Snapdom. Snapdom integration replaces HTML to Canvas. Dependency updates. And once that is done, enhance fallback strategy, implement this and wait this perfectly. Understands? Because that's exactly what we want for Snapdom. We just use the okay, let me go to Snapdom. We just use this one step capture, reusable capture. Okay, that's fine. So we have the elements and then the options. So key changes in the simpler configuration object, better data handling, the more reliable CSS, performance gains, reliability, bundle size. Yeah. Yeah, let's implement this. Proceed with this migration plan. Okay. So I'll just tell you to proceed with this. That means in the next few minutes we should have it working, a simple implementation working. All right, so it's ready to work. So I'm going to just allow it to work. It will make changes to this first, I'm sure. And once it makes the changes, then it will reinstall the library that we need to. So that means it's going to remove the one we installed, which is HTML to Canvas. It will remove that and add the new library to it. So I'll just allow you to do this thing. I'm not going to tamper with it. And once that is done, searching other things that we need to do. So let's go back to something like this is annoying. All right, so I'll go back here to like make some. Okay, I have to go back to the one that pawns my eye because I need the version. The version is 1.9.9. So I'm going to copy that. Copy. Where is okay? This site is annoying. Jeez. Nobody talks about this because it's NPM, but it's really terrible experience. If you can remove it, just proceed. I'll remove it myself. Okay, let me see the version. Yeah, so that's correct. 1.9.9 is the correct version. So that means perfectly done. So I want to ask more questions because what I want to implement is uh, something that works for me directly by just adding it. So as I said, it's going to have like features, premium features that makes it work, and that's just going to be very basic. So the more I'm building is more I'm thinking about where we can implement something that works, and that simply means you want synchronization between your tab and your mobile device. So that means you need to build a mobile device that works for this. What does that mean? Just need to build a mobile app, something as simple as this that we built. This is it will be more simpler than this because it's a mobile app that doesn't require much changes. So we need to make sure that we want real timeness. So that this will make me decide the frameworks I want to use because I want real time implementation. That means that whatever I capture from um, my phone, not my phone now, from my browser, should automatically reflect on my phone so I can see it and then reuse it for anything I want to do with it. Can I do that? Is that possible? Yes. So I'm going to show you how that is going to work. So I'm going to have something that checks for if I have handled something in real time. So that means the moment I make a capture here, I want to automatically send that capture to a central database that I'm going to use that the user can see it across the entire device, whether you use a tab, a phone, whatever it is you are using, whether your iPad or your mobile device, whether it's Android or iOS. As long as it works anywhere, it works, it should work everywhere once you are signed in. So that's the first thing we want to implement. And how do we implement that? First of all, we need to have a way to capture the user information. So two things I'm going to work with. I'm going to work with something called Convex. Specifically, I'm going to work with Convex Auth. And yeah, this is Convex Auth is what I'm going to work with because Convex should be perfect for my use case. Convex is not the best in timeless automatically. Now, this case video, I'm just giving them their flowers because yes, it's one of the best stuff I've used in a long time in terms of like actual frameworks, library. It's just golden. So I'm going to this has dark mode. Thank God for that. While it's still loading, for crying out loud, why can't I use dark mode? Okay, it's still loading. So I can't use it until it's done loading. It's burning my eye. Now it works. Oh wow, thank God. All right, so this is it. This is what I want to use for this. So I'm going to use Converse Auth for it. I probably will have loved to use this, to use Clerk, because it makes a lot more sense. So this, I might still use this. This might just be what I use eventually, right? It says it's an authentication platform that provides log verified password, social identity, one-time email access, of this and this and this. Offers a provider that is specifically for integrating with Clerk called Convex provider with Clerk. It works with any of Clerk's React-based SDK, so that's Next.js, Express SDK. So in my use case, I'm going to use the Next.js since we know that Clerk supports Next.js, right? Or Plasmo support Next.js. So we're going to use this. So let's see how that works. It says, assume you already have a working Next.js app with Convex. If not, follow the Next.js Convex quick start. Sign up for Clerk, create an application, create a WTJ template, select a new template like this, copy this. So follow all of these implementations to implement that. I might not be showing you guys all of these steps, right? But I'm going to implement this and show you as well. But if you want it, just drop a message out so I can know, then I can show you step by step how this works. So the next thing I'm going to do is create a module which is going to be used to create the stuff we want. So configure Convex provider with Clerk. That's what we're going to use. Wrap your app in Clerk and Convex and show UI based on authentication states. That's it. So use authentication states in your Convex function. Now the problem here is that using Clerk with Hmm. The problem is this using Clerk. If you use Clerk.com, Clerk has a way of working, not working as much as you may think. Like it's not working best with it's not recommended for production, so we can't use this. So we probably want to use the normal React router, which is what we prefer to use. But we can't use React router because Convex don't have a good support for React router, or let me say perfect support for React router yet. And if we decide to use Nest.js, we can't use this also because we are working with a Chrome extension. So where is the bottleneck? Where is our limitation for now? So I'm going to show you what I mean. So I'm going to Chrome extension. This is how we can implement it from Chrome extension. So this is what we're going to use. So in this case, we're just going to implement it very simply, nothing too crazy. So there's already an option here, right? This is what I should have done initially. Create a Plasmo file, a Plasmo project with Tailwind CSS, with source, and with Clark Chrome extension, and then open that. And by the time you do this, you see that you already have everything you need to set up your Chrome extension for you with all of these configurations. But we can also do it manually too. It's not really a problem, but this just makes it make sense if you've not done that. If you do not use this command, right? So um, yeah, so this is what we should have used, but then we can always still use that, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's see if this guy is done with this. So if Snapdom misbehaves any slightly, I'm just going to remove it automatically and go with HTML to image because it works perfectly well. I might not really have issues in it. I think the problem here is that we can't install that. I should have taken note of that. I saw it because it doesn't work as I think it will. You can use it like this. You can import it with MJS. Oh, snap.js. Okay, that's definitely not what I want. So I'm going to cancel it and say, okay. So I'm going to tell you to do this. So this is the last thing I'm going to do today before I wrap up with this. Because I want it to work here. I want this phase to be complete so you can see what we have before I like close this. But you can see we have this already. We have this capture full page, even though it doesn't work currently, but you can see that it's one of those things. You can see the styling perfectly okay. I wonder why my dark mode was removed. Dark mode I set for it was removed. If I go back to the pop-up, it's, if I'm not mistaken, it did remove that. Yeah, perfect. So we have that. What else? If I go to the root, dark was removed. Yeah, I said it. Dark mode was removed from it, which is why. Oh no. As you can see, this should automatically turn. But the reason why it's not working is because the server is not on. So it's not going to show. And that's why it's not working yet too. So it says, I understand you like to make a change to capture this. You want to replace this with this. Not HTML to canvas, HTML to image. Why do you have two different names? This is mind blowing Snapdown. This is Zuma Snapdown. Which one do I use between the two? Yeah, this is weird. I have two different Snapdown. I have one here. I have the other one here. Okay, probably this is outdated. This is the new one. I can't say. Yes, I assume this is the new one. But if I check this one, this looks a bit more reasonable. Gives you compile, build, compile to ESM, which is, it runs this Zuma box build, Snapdown this, index.js, px neutral. going to probably be sure which one is working. All right, so I think this is what I'm going to use. Let's check the GitHub repo to be sure. Okay, so I was wrong. This is not TypeScript safe at all. Plain Java is annoying. I thought it was TypeScript based. Shish. I think I installed the wrong thing, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, I think this is fine. Let's just continue with this. Just to be sure this works before we call it a day with this, let's go here and run this pm run dev and see if everything works well. If there's an issue, we should find out. Okay, let's check. So everything works well. Let's check this. Yeah, so it will break. Something went wrong. The way it just went off. Shouldn't go off like that. So if I click this, what happens? Just goes off. We don't know what happened, whether it's successfully worked or refused to work. There's no way to figure that out. Okay, so successfully done this. Oh, jeez, so dumb. I've already told you what to do. I said change it, not. Oh my god, I'm so disappointed. All the buzz on AI sometimes can just. I mean, I just feel like it's just a waste of time. After pointing you to the file, giving you what to change, it's still a problem changing it. The best you can do is to tell me that, oh, let me run the build. I'm not asking you to run the build. I say change something, but not run the build. Just do what you feel like doing. Sad.
I know that. I'll just cancel this and give it a new instruction from the new one. First things first, I'm going to copy this, go to a new file, paste it in.
All right, so we successfully set up um, our extension. You can see how easy it is to set up the extension, get started with what we plan to implement. So in the next part of this series, which is going to be the second part, I'm going to be using I'm going to be fixing whatever is the error currently, right? We already see setting it up was just as simple as possible using Plasmo. Using Plasmo just made it easy. So the issue right now is that we've not successfully completed the code, which is understandable. We just started today. And so we did all of this in less than 2 hours, basically, just an hour and some minutes. And so we successfully done all of those things. So here is just me using AI to like make it work as best as possible. So if you guys would like to see the completion of this or this following part of this, feel free to join the subscribe, feel free to subscribe so that you can get notified and turn on the notification button too so you can be notified when the next um, part is going to be happening. So basically, it's going to happen tomorrow, same time, 4 p.m. West African time. But if you want to see that in action, feel free to subscribe, turn on your notifications as well. It's going to be an interesting one because we are going to be building this. And if we are lucky, we can finish it tomorrow, then start with the whole packaging thing. So you can see how packaging works to the Chrome store. And if we can finish this on time, we can build 2 extra extensions, make it 3 in a week. Yes, I can. We can decide to do it. See how crazy it may be. Can it happen? Can that be done? Yes, it can be done. It just depends on what we are trying to be. It doesn't have to be crazy or too complex. Just simple, simple things like this one that just deals with taking screenshots, marking the screenshots with some annotations, saving it to a database, and you can pick it from there. It doesn't have to be too complex. The only reason why it's this crazy is because I'm trying to add it to trying to synchronize it with other devices, right? We can do that eventually. But if you feel like we don't need that also, we can always skip it. So those are the things that can be done, right? So see you guys in the next part of the series. Thank you so much for watching. And like I said, feel free to like this video and kindly subscribe if you want to see the next part of the series. Get notified for it. That'll be all for today's session. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you guys in the next one. Bye for now.